Check test one, two. I don't know what this is looking like because I can't see a goddamn thing. So it's interesting that it does it this way. I had layout to be side by side. Okay, there we go. Now I can see it. All right, let's do this way. All right, so there we go. Hello, Keller Williams agents and class attendees. Thanks for being here today. Hey, I got double booked for the first half hour, so you're going to get me this way for the first half hour of our training today, and then I'm going to step in right after I'm done with my other training to finish out the class with you. So just we're going to go through the content part of it right now, and then I'm going to go through the exercises with you in that second half of our hour together. So today's program is about it's our third step, by the way. It's how to build your outreach machine, which is really the lead generation component piece of utilizing AI using the tools that we're introducing you to in this course itself. Now, today, what we're going to use are an app called Vault.ai, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. So if you don't have those loaded, I would just give you a minute now to get that loaded. Now, with Vault.ai, if you don't have that downloaded, don't worry about it. I'm going to cover this with you in the second half. So we'll get to that at the very end. But ChatGPT and Perplexity, why don't you get those loaded up? If you have not done anything with Perplexity yet, it's perplexity.ai, perplexity.ai. And if you get those loaded on your computers, then it'll be a little bit easier for us to walk through all of this. Now, what we're going to cover today is actually some exercises using prompt engineering or prompts, like we've talked about the last 2 weeks, that'll have you walk out of here with a complete five-touch outreach campaign ready to deploy. So this is the lead generation piece. This is where we can take AI and put it to use to help you build your business. So if that's what you signed up for today, let's get started with it. And we'll see if I get this to move forward here. There we go. Nope, I can't get it to go forward. I can get it to just do that. Here we go. So here's today's mission. And today's mission is this. Um, Actually, that just jumped a bunch of slides on me, I believe. No, it didn't. Okay, I thought I had a different. So today's mission is to transform your pipeline, your database, those names you've got collected in some format, whether it's in Command or some other format for staying in touch with people. And really, what we want to do is we want to create the energy hook. And the idea here is that you've got the tools, you've got the prompts. Now let's fill the pipeline with quality prospects who actually respond. So it's not just a phone book or a bunch of names in there that don't have any tie to you or don't find any value from you. I'm going to show you how we can do some of this so you can start building that way. So you got people who are in your database who are connected to you and actually do respond to any of the offerings you might make. And the second part of it just says, let's do a quick win share. I'll do that in the second half since we're just doing this via video. So, but that's what today is about. Today's about uh, lead generation and getting leads in your pipeline that are going to be people who respond. Now, here's the reality: time is your enemy, and and what I mean by that is to really adequately do this lead generation that we're talking about. It would take hours if you did it the traditional way. And that is if you did a deep prospect search, meaning you went back and you found a purchase history, you'd be in the MLS for that more than likely. Then you'd go out and you do research on the neighborhood trends for where their house is located. That you might use Census Bureau, you might use Chamber of Commerce, you might use MLS data for that. And then you got to go do comparable sales. You get a sense of what their value of the home that they currently live in is. So that's doing that CMA. And then you'd have to do some local market intel, right? You try to find out what's maybe happening in that area, what might be changing in that area that might increase value or lower value of that property. And all of that together takes a tremendous amount of time. And if you do it properly, it does take a tremendous amount of time. What we're going to do with this, I'm going to show you how that can become a 2 to 3 minute exercise for each one of those areas, ultimately being less than 30 minutes to get that deep research done and have you very prepared to reach out to whomever that is that you'd like to add to your prospect database, if you will. And we'll do that by crafting then once we've got that research done, crafting a personal message. And really what this is about writing a genuinely personalized outreach that doesn't sound generic. So it's not going to be a form letter. And if you were to do that, sit down and really put together a letter specific to a potential prospect, If you did that without the help of AI, it probably would take you maybe 30 minutes to do that and make it really powerful. This will be done in just less than a minute. And then finally, building that follow-up sequence or that stay in touch, that drip campaign, that smart campaign, whatever you're calling it, that stays in touch consistently over time, so that when they think of real estate and have a real estate need, they think of you. And that's really the goal in all of this is to get to that spot. So if that makes sense to you, let's move on to the next page. Now let's just think about it from a little bit different time perspective. Uh, our timeline now with AI is this: the research itself should take about 5 minutes. I'm going to show you that, and we're going to do that as well. So that's 5 minutes out of something that would probably take 2 to 3 hours. Personalizing that message will take about 2 minutes. Once I've got that 5 minutes done with the deep research, about 2 minutes for that personalized message, and then complete the sequence, which is to put that follow-up plan in place that's automatic, that's sequential, that stays in touch. That's about 10 minutes to build. And so we're looking here at a total of 17 minutes per prospect is the new time investment that you would have to do this properly. We're back here. If we looked at 2 to 3 hours, let's just say it's 2 hours to do the deep research, 30 minutes to craft that message. That's 2.5 hours. And then probably another, oh man, probably 30 minutes to do that follow-up sequence. So that's 3 hours. So we're talking about 3 hours to 17 minutes. So which do you choose that you'd like to take? Yeah, probably that 17 minutes. I know I would. So that time saved then is really 94% of that time you get back. We talked about this in our first session together that AI's really its value to us is not to have us get more removed from our consumer. It's to have us have more time freed up so that we can be more face to face with people in the market that we want to build our business in. So it's really about giving us that free time back so we can go use it to be face to face with people, which is really the most effective that we can possibly be. And this is going to show I'm going to show you today how that can really work. So let's take a look at what happens then when we look at this time-saving math itself. So the old way would be where let's see, you'd have a limited reach, right? There'd be 2 to 3 quality prospects you could ever research in a day because they take 2.5 to 3 hours each. You could maybe do 10 to 15 meaningful touches a week then because of the time that it takes to do that. And then in doing so, then you're really limiting your pipeline growth, meaning that you're not getting enough people in the top of the funnel that could become true prospects for your business, at least not the number most of us probably need. And then because of all of that, you're going to feel like you have this constant time pressure. That's the old approach. Now, today I'm going to introduce you to a new approach, and I think it's one that's going to make you feel once you understand it and get familiar enough and feel comfortable in it to just really embrace it. And I'm going to call that's the explosive scale, meaning we're going to really take what you could possibly be doing in the research, and we're going to blow up. We're going to scale it at a high level. And so here's what it looks like in that version is that you can do 15 to 20 quality prospects research per day. If you're building your database, you could get 15 to 20 in your database per day versus 2 to 3 in the old model. That which then equates to 75 to 100 of those quality prospects per week. Now that's a lot different than 10 to 15, isn't it? And then finally, that in doing so, then that is that exponential growth in your pipeline, and it again frees you up to have a time to do more high value activities, face to face, get deepening relationships with people, that type of thing, and that's what this is all about. Now, here's the thing. The bottom line, it's right on the bottom of the page here. It says AI doesn't replace your expertise. It multiplies your capacity. Let's think about that for a moment. AI doesn't replace your expertise. It multiplies your capacity. See, you're still a relationship builder, and by the way, that's going to become more essential in the years ahead than ever before. So that's why we want to make sure you've got the ability to do that. And the idea here is that AI just helps you reach exponentially more people with the same level of personalization and care. Let me slow that down. So AI will not replace your expertise. You still have to become an expert in the areas that you're doing business in. However, it can multiply your capacity, meaning you can reach more people meaningfully using AI as the tool that is the back engine, if you will, for the information you're putting out. Yeah, you still I have to be the relationship builder, and when I mentioned that that's going to become even more essential in the years ahead. Is that I think what we're going to see as that AI becomes more and more and more mainstream, which is happening almost daily. What the consumer is going to be looking for is understanding the difference between AI and the human and who they're actually interacting with. And so the more you can interact with the consumer, but use AI to get the information out that you need, the deeper your relationships go with those folks, the better opportunity you have to do business, not only with them, but with the people they would refer to you as well. And so this is going to be, I think, the next 2 to 3 years, a relationship deepening time in our industry. And those who really understand it and do it at a high level are going to come out on the other side with an incredible business that really would be theirs to lose versus theirs to try to fight for. If that makes any sense. And why I say that what AI can help them do, any of us who embrace it, is that we're going to grow exponentially, but we're going to do it with the same feeling of personalization and care for each individual that we add to our database that we start deepening relationships with. So I trust that makes some sense. So let's take a look at the next page. So just a reminder, last week we talked about prompts, and the words that we use are the way we get the results we want from any one of these models that we're talking to or that we're working with, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. It's about how we prompt engineer, if you will. And I just want to review this again. That I created that acronym called RACE. So the first thing you want to put out in that prompt is the role that AI is going to play in getting this result for you, right? So we're going to tell it who it is. So you're an exceptional luxury real estate agent, copywriter, a real estate copywriter, if you will. Sets a different tone than you are a market analyst. So we want to do it specific. So give them their role. That's the R in race. Now the A is the action. So what do I want them to do now that they know the role that they're playing for me in this interaction? And so be crystal clear about what you want. Write a listing description. It's too vague. However, if you said this, write a 150 word listing description that's more specific. Now you might even go deeper in this past week as you experimented with those prompts, you probably learned that the more detailed you got in the action you gave it, the better the result was. So first R, race, role. I mean, A is the action. C then is the context in which they're doing that research for you. So give the AI everything it needs to know. So for example, property details, client preferences, market specifics, neighborhood features, that type of thing. So whatever it is you've got knowledge of that you want it to, that you would want yourself to know, give it to that so that as it goes and does whatever you're asking it to do, it's got that backstory to play from. And so that's the C, context. And then E is the expectation. So what's the output I'm looking for? So, for example, so it just says here, define the output. And that could be the number of words you want. It could be the tone of the output, like whether you want it to be professional, warm, friendly, chill, whatever you tell it. That's the how you want to have it show up. And then format. You could say, I want this bullet pointed, right? So give me the highlights, give me the bullet points, and then give me the iteration of where you got the information from. So I've got the footnotes. So that if I have to go back, I could find out where the information came from. I'm going to show you some examples of that today as well. So just as a refresher, then, race, RACE. So role, action, context, and then expectations. That if you get all four of those playing into the prompt you write, the better the results will be. But let me give you an opposite then. So here's an example of a bad prompt. Write a listing description. Now, it will write a listing description for you, but it will be probably pretty lousy. In fact, you could experiment with that if you want. Just type that in into ChatGPT or Claude and see what you get back. Right? So what that's missing is there's no role, there's no context, there's no expectations. All there is the action. And there isn't even really a great action in that because it's pretty vague. However, a good prompt would be this. You're an experienced luxury real estate copywriter. Write a 150 word listing description for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath home in Middleton, well, to say Middleton, Wisconsin, with updated kitchen, finished basement, and large backyard. Emphasize the neighborhood schools and proximity to downtown Madison. Write in an upscale but warm tone. Now, why does that work? Well, we've got the role, right? experienced luxury real estate copywriter. We've got the action in detail, right? 150 word listing description, and then we give it the context: four bedrooms, three bath, with updated kitchen, finished basement, large backyard. That's the context, and then we give it its our expectations. We want you to emphasize the neighborhood schools. We want you to talk about proximity to downtown Madison, and give me the output in an upscale but warm tone. That's a good prompt. Now, one of the things you might discover is that this takes a little bit of time to get really good at, right? So, what you want to do is practice this. And then when you get a great prompt, what I'm going to suggest you do is you capture it and you keep it. Now, I'm going to show you what I've started to do is I just build a prompt library. So let me get this out. Okay, so this is my prompt library. So it's just on a Google. It's on a Google. Let's see, Google Drive, right? So that we all have access to Google Drive. So it's in a Google Drive file. I'll just show you that so you can see a demo, right? So I've just got it here and I've got it buried under the training courses that I'm doing. But so I'm going to put it in here. It's today's course, which was our third session. So I'm going to just go here and I've got a prompt library right here. So what I did is when I get a prompt that I really like that gives me an output that I like, I'm going to have it saved in this prompt library so I can always go back and grab it if I want. That way I don't have to recreate the wheel each and every time. It's a little slow in loading. It'll load at some point in this presentation, I'm guessing. Uh, and we'll let it, there we go. Now it's loading up for us. So there's our prompt library. So, and what I've done with this, I just created a template for myself. So I've got the platform used, and I set it up so that there's three options. I've got ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. It was a prompt, and then here was an outcome. So I used Perplexity to do this one, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes. So I'm not going to go into detail on that because that's one of our exercises we're going to do. But then I saved the outcomes, so I've got that output. So now I remember the prompt, and have the output if I want it to just copy and paste and use wherever I'd like to. That's where you could start becoming efficient with this stuff and not have to start from scratch every time. And you're going to find that there are certain prompts that work really well for you, and there's certain prompts that don't work well. So keep the good ones and toss the bad ones. So now, just a pro tip on the bottom, and you know this, we've talked about this. The more specific your prompt, the better your results. Always, the more specific, the better the result. One of the challenges I think many of us have is getting used to writing prompts to be that specific because we don't talk like that, do we? We don't talk like this prompt looks, but we have to learn to do that because the better we get at that, the better the outcomes are. So that's why I'm going to suggest to all of us that we get really well practiced at that, if you will. So let's go on. So here's our first one. So we're going to talk about a prompt for Perplexity. Now, Perplexity is a great tool, by the way. And remember, if you're a PayPal or a what is it, Venmo user, you've got an account with either one of those. You can get a Perplexity for a year for free. Now, the free version itself is good, but you can get the upgraded version then for free, which is just a little bit better. It's faster. You can do more in a day with it, that type of thing. So just understand that now it's perplexity.ai, perplexity.ai. So if you've not gone in there before, you'd want to do that. And really what I think about when I think about Perplexity, it's the research engine. It's the deep dive into things for me. If I need to go and get a lot of information and I want it to do a lot of research, I'm going to go to Perplexity. Now, Chat GPT can do research for you. It just won't be as in depth typically, at least not with the $20 version or the free version. The same is true with Claude. So Perplexity is just a great tool to have for that specific. So I'm going to do a use case. So know your prospect before you contact them. So let's say you've got a geographic area you've identified that you want to have as your farm. And you don't know many of the people there, so you'd like to start to get to know who they are. Now, using Perplexity, and I would use Forewarn in Perplexity, you can get people's names and a phone number, and you can do some deep research with that. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute. So, and here's the thing to think about. Perplexity searches the web in real time to gather comprehensive intelligence about prospects, their properties, and their neighborhoods in seconds instead of hours. Now, it won't go do some of the public record it won't bring back to you will be arrest records and criminal, that kind of stuff. But that's not what you really need. If you want that, you go to CCAP or you go to News Forewarn, which is a free tool you've got as a member of the MLS, right? So just remember you've got that tool. But you can find out home purchase date and original price. You can do that in the MLS a lot of times too, right? But you'd log in and you'd have to go search that out. I'll show you how fast Perplexity does this for us in just a moment. I can ask it for the last 12 months of market trends in that neighborhood. We can get recent comparables within a half mile or within a mile, depending on what parameter you ask it to do. A local development or zoning changes. If there's anything out there about that area, it'll bring that back for you. And then school district information, ratings, and recent changes. So that's using Perplexity to do a deep dive into a prospect that I might want to get to know because I'd like to start building a relationship with them. Now, again, where I see the use of that would be geographic farming or demographic farming. That maybe it's a group of people that you want to get to know. So let's go research the people that are in that group and get as much information as we can. So I thought about this and I thought, okay, who should we do this research about? And so I'll show you in a minute who I came back with. But right here, I'm sorry, it's down here in there we go. So here's the prompt itself. The prompt itself is this: research prospect's name, who lives at, address you type in, and the city you type in. And then I said find home purchase date and price, neighborhood market trends for the last 12 months, recent comparable sales within a half of a mile. Now I can alter any of these if I need to do something a little bit broader or more narrow. Local development or zoning changes, school district ratings, and recent changes, and then summarize whatever you find on this in bullet points for me for that prospect. So again, this is me doing my research on someone I'd like to get to know so that they could become someone I could do business with. So so if I did do that, I go to Perplexity. Let's see, let me find, there's Perplexity, and I'll just show you what I did. So I thought, okay, let's go look at the football coach, Luke Fickell, right? So Badger head coach is Luke Fickell. He lives at 4908 Winter Circle. I had to chuckle a little bit when I saw the street name that he lives on based on the record this year. So whatever that's worth. That's actually out in the town of Middleton, so it's Middleton. And I asked Perplexity to find a home purchase date and price, neighborhood market trends for the last 12 months, half mile radius comparables, and then development and school district stuff. So that's what was there. So I just copied what I had on that slide and I pasted it right there. That's the prompt now. And then I let it go. So here's what it came back with. It said Luke Fickell's Middleton home at 4908 Winter Circle is a high-end single-family property in a top-performing school district with strong nearby comps and an active local development environment. And one of the things that I like about Perplexity, and it does this without asking, it gives you the source it got this information from. So you see that? That's that little box right there. If I click on that, it'll tell me where it got the information to put in that first paragraph. And I can always click on those are live links and go take a look at where it got that info. Now, here's the subject property. 4908 Winter Circle is a 7-bedroom, 6-bath, roughly 12,275 square foot single family home. It was built in 2017. The last sale record it closed at somewhere between 2.57 million and a little bit more than that, I guess. I don't know what that is, but that reads kind of funky. But closed in March of 2023. That was an MLS sale date of March 24th, and the price of the MLS was reported to be 2.575 million. I said exact parties and loan terms are not public in these portals. They don't pull that information and give it to us. So, I could go find that if I needed to, but I don't really need to. Price per square foot, it was about $210 a square foot. So a little bit about the home. Now, nearby sales. And so 4899 Winter Circle, that sold in 2019 for $2 million. Let's see, 4909 Winter Circle, that sold in 2024 for 1.4 million. 4880 Winter Circle, that sold in 23 for 1.105 million. So you see, this gives me nearby comparable. These are all on Winter Circles, but this goes back a ways. Now, what I might have done differently, I might say I want recent comparables. I would say that have closed no more than 12 months from today. I don't want to go back further than that. No, that's where I'd probably start. So I'd probably tweak that prompt a little bit, if that makes sense. Then neighborhood 12-month market trends. It gives me market trends for that neighborhood. And by the way, what's interesting about this is I could take these trends and I could copy and paste them into some piece of social media or out. Anyway, it makes me sound intelligent about how I speak to the market. So if I said, Middleton overall, the median sale price in Middleton is around $408,000 as of October, just last month. That's what we were looking. Now that's down 20.8% year over year, but the price per square foot is up 11.8% to $255 a square foot, signaling really a tighter supply and buyers paying more for quality products. So now remember, median versus average sale price. Median is as many sold below that number as above that number. So a little bit different than average, but that's what it goes to. And I might ask it to pull the average sale price. So I have that to talk to as well. Then it goes on to say in the zip code 53562, median list price was roughly 575 to 585, up 14.8%, 14% year over year from the median per square foot price, blah, blah, blah. Broader Middleton home values average around 583,000, which is up 1 to 1.5% over last year. So overall, the general market for Middleton has been on the ticking up a little bit, not a lot, but 1 to 1.5%. And it's above the national norms for certain because the national norms are dropping. And then finally, local development and zoning context. So if there's anything out there around that, I might we might want to talk about that. Finally, schools and ratings. And then prospecting angles. And these would be talking points around if I were to start prospecting that neighborhood. So let's say that's a geographic area that I want to start farming. I could emphasize value. Recent Winter Circle sales were from 1.1 million to 2 million plus. It supports the subject 2.57 sale price of that house that Luke Fickle bought. Right. So if I got a chance to meet with him and he wanted to talk about real estate, I've got some information ready to know that he did a pretty good job in what he purchased because it's right in the market as to where its value is. Now, position appreciation, here's the thing. Now he may be thinking about that right now, correct? Although his buyout is pretty big. But it says long run Middleton appreciation is around 6% annually with recent 12-month gains in a per square foot zip code level pricing suggests resilience even amid short-term median price noise. Now, what does that mean? If I don't understand what it says, I can go see where it got it. So you see here, these are the URLs of where that came from. So I might go read that and say, what does that mean? Talks about the schools, leverage growth story, new zoning ordinances, and active pipeline of quality subdivisions and mixed-use projects. For example, Bell Farm, which is that development along Grayburg Pond, that the homes start at 2 million and go up. I believe that one house that's completed in there was like 2.4 million, I believe, and it was like not big. It's a whole new concept and what they're trying to market and get people to accept. But you could talk about those things. It says, and it promises continued amenity build out and demand for upper bracket homes. And so that's one of the things I know that when Lexus dealership moved over to Middleton from the east side of Madison, they did that. That was strategic because of the dollar value of the income value of the homeowners was a much higher percentage within that location they've got off of Airport Road and Highway 12 than anywhere else in the market. So that, and this is right off of that. This is probably less than a mile from there. So anyway, I digress. That finally, you might note privacy and prestige as well. There's a limited number of large custom homes on Winter Circle with four-car garages and estate scale footprints. So the lots are really big. There's an exclusivity feel to that area, positioning it for a high net worth prospect. And that's if you were to go look at the tax records that who else lives on Winter Circle, I think you would see that that's definitely a true statement. And then it just told me that it looked at 40 different sources to put this bullet point list together for me. And so that's now I just asked it if it could show me pictures of some of the homes and because so I could see them, and that's what this is. Now it talked about the highlights, but it didn't show me the photos, so I'd asked for that, and they gave me that, so I can go. This is Luke Fickle's house that was taken from Zillow. Let's see, and so I could just use the URLs that are here, and I could take a look at all the other listings that were there. Looks like Melissa LeGrand had it listed at one point because that's her information from there. And so this is and then there was one other one that had some photos here from Realtor.com. There we go. We could go see a few more of the pictures of the house from when it was on the market in the winter and spring of whatever year that was. So that's it. Now, if I go here, here's some examples of some of the other homes that are in the neighborhood. So here's one of 4899 Winter Circle, five bed, five bath, 5,200 square feet, 1.9 million. I think that's active right now, if I remember. Uh, I don't, maybe it's not, but again, you can get all the Zillow stuff from that. Let's go back and look at yeah, this was cool. So if I did this, then this takes because I'm on Zillow, not that I'm promoting it, but if it takes me to their map, and then I can see what else is on Winter Circle or Champions Run. Maybe this is that same neighborhood, and I could go click on these and get live links. I could see the actual listing from Zillow of these houses. So there we go. There's one. I could take a look at it and it tells you a little more information. So again, just really quick way to get a lot of info on properties that I'm trying to get more familiar with, so I can be more profound in my speaking with the potential seller, with that seller of those properties. So let's jump back over here. All right, so that's that prompt. So what I want you to do is take this prompt and I'm gonna leave it here for you to take a look at and fill out your prompt for this and choose whoever you want. Like research the name and I put in the prospect name who lives at city and address. Now, if you don't know their city and address, this is where Forewarn becomes real helpful. So if you go to Forewarn, app.forewarn.com, that's our shoot, I got logged out of it, but that's that safety app that we have that was provided to us from the MLS as part of our MLS dues, and so you might as well utilize it. And I knew I was going to do that. I don't remember what my login and password are, so uh, I'll cover this with you when I get back into the room with you if you need to see it. But if you're not familiar with it, don't overlook this one because you can utilize this at a pretty high level to track some of the stuff down. I want to get back into the content though. So now, there's your prompt again. There's your prompt. In fact, let me do this. We're gonna spotlight it. We're gonna get some. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit for you, so if I can. Maybe not. Okay, that's interesting. It's there. Actually, I know this. If I just go to content only now, you'll be able to see it. There you go. So if you want to copy that down, and like I mentioned, second half of this, when I get in the room with you guys, then I will we'll go back at some of this stuff too. So if you need me to slow it down, I'll have it there for you as well. But I just have a couple other things I want to touch base on quickly before let me get back to the side by side. That's better. Okay. A couple other things I want to touch base on though. So that's our first one, though, is utilizing Perplexity for a prompt to use deep research. Deep research. Now, here's the key point. This research takes Perplexity about 30 seconds to do. It's amazing when you get the prompt in there how quickly it comes back versus probably 30 minutes on our part if we were to go out and manually search for all of this because we have access to it. It just would take time to put together. Perplexity can do it in just a fraction of that time. Here's the second one. We want to utilize ChatGPT. And now ChatGPT is going to be our message maker. Now, what I mean by that is we've got some research done. In my example, it's Luke Fickle, right? So I've got the research done. And now I want to now I want to figure out how to message that to him that if that's who I want to start building a relationship with. So I'm going to turn the research now into some personalized outreach. That's what we're going to use ChatGPT for. And really what ChatGPT can do for us is it can transform the raw data, basically the Perplexity data, into compelling human sounding messages that feel personally crafted. This is where we're going to put that personal touch into it. It helps you scale the personal touch that converts prospects to clients. This is the power piece, if you will. And so here's the prompt. So again, we want to remember RACE, right? So role, action, context, and expectations. Role, action, context, expectations. So the role, you're a trusted real estate advisor. Now you might say things like you're a 30-year veteran of the real estate industry here in Madison, Wisconsin. It doesn't. There's a lot of ways you can say that, and you may find one gives you better outputs. And then what you would say is using this research, and what I would do is then I copy and paste that bullet pointed research from Perplexity and into this prompt. And that's where when I said I build this prompt library, this is where this becomes really helpful, right? So here's this prompt. Your professional real estate agent, write a friendly follow-up email to the client who, oh no, that's not it. Where are we? Let's see, I'm in the wrong information. Here we go. There we are. Those are some of my prompts from last week. I apologize. So here we are. So here's the research you did on Luke Fickle, right? So here's the bullet points along this side. And then what I'm going to want to do using ChatGPT is and I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to copy and paste. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to copy this, and you just have to type it, unfortunately, because you're watching it. But again, once you've got it, you'll have it, if you will. So there we are. So your trusted real estate advisor. Now I'm going to paste into here the research from Perplexity. So what going to do here is I'm going to copy all of that. And the easiest way to do that, if you're working in a Google Sheets, is just go up to the menu bar and hit Control or Command A, and then Control or Command C, which is to copy. So it got all of that. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to paste it into my prompt. So let's see. And what I did wrong here is that I didn't get the prompt put into the one line itself. See how it spread it around. It's a little tweak, and I forget to do this. So I'm gonna go back and grab my. Actually, I'm gonna put my. No, I'm gonna let me figure this out. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back. So I'm just gonna hit the back button a couple times. There we go. Now I'm gonna go back and paste my prompt from here. So here's my power prompt again. I'm gonna get that, copy it, paste it, put it here. Now I'm gonna double click in that cell, and then I'm gonna go up to that address section. I'm gonna paste in there because it should then only paste it in that one cell, which I think it did. Yeah. So you see how it all went into one cell? Now I've got this here, so I'm gonna again go over here. I'm gonna hit Control A, Control C. So I'm going to copy all of that and I want to paste it in here. So I'm going to go to that spot and I'm going to hit paste. It pasted it. Now that took up all that cell, didn't it? But that's okay. That's the prompt I want. So now that I've got this prompt, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it all. So Control A to get it all, Control C to copy it, and then I'm going to go to Chat GPT. So let's go over to Chat GPT. And where is it? There we go. Here's ChatGPT. So, and I'm going to paste that into a prompt. So, new chat. So, I'm just over here on the right side. It says new chat. I'm going to go here and I'm going to paste that in. See that? And then I'm going to hit. I'm going to double check to see what I'm doing with it because I've got an upgraded version and I don't want to do the. There we go. So up here, one of the things that I'll show you is if you see here it says Chat GPT 5.1 Instant. That's the speed at which it's going to come back with my result. And I've got options for that. Now you may not have that. So I've got an upgraded version of Chat, but just if I hit the arrow and have it go to work, which it's doing, see how quickly it's giving me my output. And what it's doing is it's putting a letter together for me as a way to reach out to that property owner, right? And it's signed my name. I've got it called me Coach Kittleson. You can, customize it for you. But it says here, winter circle's been buzzing this year. Homes in your immediate loop have been moving anywhere from low 1 millions to 2 million plus. Talk about a recent sale. It tells me the buyers are paying premium for quality homes in top school districts like yours. If you're curious about today's numbers, blah 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 blah. So I take a little of what I've learned from that research, and I had it craft that. Now, if I want to have it do another version, let's ask it to do it again. Create another. So let's ask it to create another version. Now, I might say focus on something specific. And here we go. So there's the other version. Now, I mentioned before that if I get an outcome that I like from a prompt that I like to copy it, and then I just X'd out of there. But I like to copy and then I like to paste it into my library, right? So I've got it for future. So I'm just gonna put it. I'm going back to that my prompt library. Here it is, and I'm gonna paste in the result that I got, and then I'm gonna copy and paste I'm going to do that right here because this is next to the prompt that I had. So there's my version, one version of that reach out letter, if you will. Um, and what I made the mistake of doing again is I didn't put it all in I didn't double click into that cell. So then it took it and spread it over a bunch of cells. So I'm going to get that cleaned up. And then we're going to go here and I'm going to paste it up in this address bar. And then there we go. Now I've got it. All right. So now it's there if I want to grab it and use it for reaching out to people in that neighborhood, if you will. So that's how that works. If you and that's what this message maker is, right? So I'm transforming raw data into compelling, human-sounding messages that feel personally crafted. Now, why does this work? So here's the thing: the message sounds authentically human because it's built on real, specific data about the prospect situation. It's not generic, templated language, and it's personalized intelligence transformed into genuine value. Now, that was pretty generic in the outcome it gave, so I might ask it to be more specific and I could get to that spot that gives us that really personalized piece of this. Now, one note under here it says, "Do not use reaching out or hope this finds you well or just wanted to." Those are phrases that are detract. They actually take energy away from the letter that you would craft. Now, what you might do is I might actually just type that right into the prompt engine, the prompt itself, so I don't have it coming back with that any of those words in the languaging of the letter it puts together for me. The other thing I could do though, and I just let's see, I just lost my chat GPT. Where is it? I've got a really bright light in my face, so that's part of my challenge in doing this with you. I may have X'd out of it because I have enough going on here, I guess. Let's just see where it's at. Let's go back then. I'm going to go back and open it up again because it'll be right there for me. There we go. And let's see, that was this one. It was down here under chats, prospecting letter. So there we are. Now, I'm wondering what happens if I do this. So I'm going to add uh, the following notes. And uh, what I'm going to add to it is those words. Don't use blah blah blah. What I showed on the screen. So don't use reaching out. Hope this finds you well. Just wanted to. What you might do with that one though is you might actually under your specifics as it gets to know you, you might add that there to say, please never use this in anything you generate for me. And then you don't have to remind it to do that. So that's how you could create a message in a short time. Again, in that in all of this automation itself. Now, Walt.ai is a cool tool, and I'm gonna do this live for you because it's a little cumbersome not to do it that way. So we'll come back to that one, and then I'm going to show you finally how we're going to build this touch plan so that we can really be effective at what we're doing. So here's the thing to think about. Touch one. So let's say again, now this is where you decide that there's a way you want to build your database of a certain group of people, demographically or geographically, geographic, farmer, demographic. And so you start doing the deep research on those people, right? And once you've got that, you need to make an initial contact, right? So the first one is to do that. And it's a letter or an email introducing value with specific market intelligence about their property or their neighborhood. That's the first touch. That's what that letter was that we just generated within ChatGPT. Now, 3 days later, we're going to do a follow-up providing additional market insight or data points that reinforces your expertise. That's the value add. That would be 3 days after the initial reach out. 3 days out, 7 days later. So now we're spreading this out a little bit. You want to do social proof, and that is share a success story or testimonial from a similar client situation to build trust. Then we're going to go 14 days after that, and that's a market event. So tie outreach to recent development, sale, or trend that impacts the property's value. Now, that doesn't mean you did it, but you're watching that market. And if something happened to that market that would have an impact on that property's value, then you're going to share that with the prospect. And our final touch is at 30 days, and that's a different approach. It's humor, honesty, or compelling data with the last opportunity being positioning. So, we're gonna go a little bit on that today, just show you what you could do with that one. And we're gonna build this together, by the way, when we get into the room with each other. So I think that took me to about a half hour, if not a little bit more. And I'm gonna be in the room then at this point. So thanks so much. I'll see you in a minute. And I appreciate you being in the course and staying with me on all of this. So I'm going to shut this off and I'll be right there.